This video is not sponsored. Nobody's telling me to make it. Nobody knows I'm making it. I don't even know why I'm making it. I guess I just got excited because today we're talking about Paradise Guitar Studio, the new plugin from Universal Audio. Now stick around because I actually have a bit of a hot take in this one, and we're gonna be having a lot of fun. This is gonna be a fun video, I think. All right, so what is Paradise Guitar Studio? Well, Paradise Guitar Studio is the new Universal Audio guitar amp sim all-encompassing plugin where you get all of the guitar amp sims in addition to pedals and effects, etc. And it's all in one plugin, right? And with an entirely oversaturated arena of guitar amp sims, modelers, etc., what makes this one special? What makes this stand out? Well, let's talk about it. Okay, so it's time for a hot take here. Inside the arena that is the guitar world, there is such an oversaturation of amp sims, modelers, stomp boxes, etc. that recreate amps, all that kind of stuff, right? So how does this one stand out? And I think like the timing is pretty bad, but I think the product stands out on its own because of the sound. It sounds incredible. You're gonna see in the demos. Where this hot take is really coming from is, okay, so I have an HX Stomp. I've been looking at the new fractal stuff. I've been looking at the new Tonax and all the different options, and it really got me thinking about how digital modelers are a pain in the ass to dial in because you can't use them like real amps. Some of them, you know, like the new Helix Stadium has the hype feature. Like, okay, well, it'd be great if you could just make a model that you could use like an amp. And I know that that's the problem with plugins in general. You don't use them the same way as the real hardware. You just don't. And where I'm going with this is all of this extra freedom of choice makes it almost harder to dial in your settings, right? Like if you can endlessly move the position of the mic and you have 40 mics to choose from with every type of cab model there ever was, you're easily gonna go down a rabbit hole and try every single one, and then you won't really know. And then, you know, you gotta wait for the software to kind of load and go back and forth between the models. And it's like, you know, that's a pain in the butt. You could easily spend days to weeks dialing in something. Now, this is the jumping off point for this plugin. So with this plugin, what makes it different and what I think makes it stand out is how quickly it is to just choose the different cabs and the mic positions. They limit your choices. And I think that that's really cool because, again, if you're just moving the mics all around, 99% of the positions you're probably not even going to choose to use, right? Like you're just going to find the one that's good and then just keep reverting back to that. Even if you had a real amp in the room, right? Like most of us are not going to be taking the time to dial in the mic position every single time. You see it on the road. You see people with tape around their speaker grill. Limit the choices and just quickly cycle through them. I like that. That is really cool. And so ultimately the hot take so far is that I think stripping the choices back actually makes it easier to get better tones. Let's look at this plugin and just like kind of go through it, right? So you've got the amp head over here, you've got the cab and mic choices over here, down at the bottom, you've got like the amp tools and controls. And then you've got like your pedal board, so to speak, the stuff that hits the front side of the amp. And then you've got the back side of the amp, which is all like post-processing, or at least that's how they guide you through building a chain, right? They're thinking like complete studio setup. What's it gonna be like in the studio? Well, you're gonna have your pedal board, you're gonna have your amp, and then that's gonna have a mic in front of it, and then that's gonna hit a console, and then there's gonna be all sorts of cool rack-based tools and stuff they'd use in the control room, right? And so they're kind of simulating this environment. I think that's really nice. It's a different take, and it's very Universal Audio, very on point. So you're getting your Dream 65, the Showtime 64, Woodrow, Ruby, the Enigmatic, which is based on the Dumble, I believe. And then you get the Marshall style Lion 68. And this brings me to my next major talking point around this plugin. I think the amp choices are very, very good. I think that they're gonna give you a wide variety of tones. All right, so you don't get any like metal tones with it. That's not to say that you couldn't use these to get metal tones. I think you could, but you know, you don't have the super high gain stuff in there. You just kind of have like all the standard amazing sounding amps that you'd really ever kind of sort of go for, unless you're into extreme high gain stuff. Not meaning to harp on that, but anyways. All right, so in the effects category, you've got distortion, right? This is cool to see this in here, the OD1, really cool. Proco Raw, Tube Screamer, right? Vintage fuzz stuff, the Klon, Like, yo, this is cool. They're modeling all of this stuff. This is great. Modulation, kind of all the standard stuff you'd see there. Dynamics, red comp, I believe that's like a Dynacomp. That's cool. You're getting all of those standard delays like the Memory Man, EP tape echo. You're getting some digital verb, the 224 verb, a spring verb, and then you've got some basic EQ stuff. So if you're a guitar player who wants the most amazing bang for your buck for $130 or $200 normally, you're gonna get insanely good sounding modeling with pretty much all the tools you could really need in the box to get great sounds. And importantly, it's really, really approachable and easy to use. All right, so let's talk about how it sounds. And this is where my hot take number 2 comes in. Okay, hot take number 2. My problem with tons of guitar demos and tons of guitar demo videos is like the players are phenomenal. They're so good. Now, like, that's great, but everything's gonna sound good then, right? Why don't we just like keep it straightforward and just jank on the guitar? Because then you can understand and you can start to understand the dynamics more. It just says like, you're a great guitar player. So anyways, yeah, let's dive in. The first thing to notice is there's an insane amount of presets. Like an insane amount of presets. So surely there's gonna be something good sounding in there. Let's pick a few out. First thing I love about this is it has a tuner. Thank God that this thing has a tuner. Now, here's another kind of hot take with guitar amp sim stuff, right? I kind of find that, like, especially with some of the Helix stuff, it's like you're diving in, you're changing amp sims, and you're like, I don't really hear much of a difference there. Like, they all kind of sound the same at first, and you really have to dial them in. This is what I really think makes all of the Universal Audio stuff stand out, especially this Paradise Guitar Studio, is that all of the amps really sound different, and I love that. I think that that is the goal and the mark of an amp sim, is to be able to swap amps out and they sound different. And not only do they sound different, but they sound like the amps. All right, so I'm gonna really messily rock and roll style jam through some of these amps themselves, so you can kind of get a feel for how different they really are from one another, all right? So what I want you to notice is that throughout that test, I didn't change any of this. I didn't change any of that. All we changed was just the stock basic amp model that was loaded up. So that's really cool. You choose a different amp, it sounds like a different amp. I think that that's a very important thing. I think it's wild that, like, in a lot of these reviews, like, nobody really points this out. It's like, how much work and effort do you have to put in to make an AC30 sound like an AC30 in the amp modeler? But I'll just say, like, I don't want to spend days dialing in this stuff in preparation for a show. And also, if I'm creating a song in a studio or writing music or recording music, I also don't want to spend a bunch of time just dialing in a sound, right? Like, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And the first step in that is being able to choose a different amp and getting a different sound and knowing that I'm getting either closer or further away from what I wanted in the first place, at least what I hear in my head. So very cool. What else do I really like about this? Okay, well, if you choose the amp cabs, okay, as you click on them, in the very bottom, it tells you a short description about what it is, what they used, what it might be good for, etc. And they do that for everything. So they do that for the amps, right? So it tells you a bit about the amp down there. And it also does that for the effects. So it tells you how you might want to think about using that particular tool or effect. It's a nice touch. I'm not saying that other tools don't have that. I'm just simply saying it's a nice touch. Getting back to the cabs, they allow you to filter by cabinet type. So you got 1x12s, 2x12s, and 4x10s and 12s. So overall, you're getting 6 amplifiers, a ton of cabs, a ton of effects. Okay, that's great. It's an all-in-one modeler. You should expect to have that kind of thing, but it sounds incredible. The amps actually really sound different from one another, even using the same cabinet. I think that that's great. And of the 6 amplifiers, you're also getting the mods and the different versions of those amplifiers. So it very much is like those 6 amps just smacked into one plugin, but you get so much more. So honestly, like, it makes no sense not to pick this up if you're into the Universal Audio lineup of amp sims. It does run in stereo mode, so yeah, you can get a stereo sound. Obviously, that's like a necessity, so that's cool. The tuner, oh my gosh, I cannot thank you enough for putting the tuner in there. That alone is worth it to me. Now, it does also have DAW tempo sync, which is great, so you can have your time-based effects time aligned to the click track of your music, but it also has a tempo tap in here too. So if you're songwriting and you're just getting started kind of developing an idea, you can tap your tempo out and create your own sync. It's pretty nice. A few more little like small details. The GUI is very contextual. So for the gate, you can hover over the gate to enable it, but it also has the 3 dots. Now, if you didn't move your mouse cursor over that, you wouldn't know that that existed. So just, be aware of those kinds of things with the GUI. I think guitar players are gonna love this. I love this. I think it sounds incredible. All right, so take this review for what it was. I literally was mucking around with this plugin for about an hour or so today when it's released. Love that they threw some Rockman sounds in there. Like, that's cool. I'll take it. So you can get a variety of sounds in it. So I think it's a heck of a deal considering the level of detail that these amps are modeled with. I think the dynamics feel right in them. If you already have the other versions of these plugins, like, are you really getting something else? Well, yeah, I think so. I think the workflow is really nice. It's cool that they now have something that can model a complete chain. And it's really just the price of one plugin, but you're getting all of these other sounds. So if you didn't have a Lexicon 224 plugin, at least you now get to have access to some of those tones and build your guitar chains out. I think it is worth getting a hold of, is kind of my point here. So really cool plugin. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching all the way through. I think that that's the best way to help the channel at this point, is just literally watch. Of course, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this plugin. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for all things Luna and Universal Audio and Apollo, etc. To support the channel further or to book time with me directly, go to thestevekinney.com where you can find my presets, my mentor sessions, my new courses. Appreciate you watching, guys. Cheers.